Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. So in this video I'm going to be covering the Triton in D&D and a little bit about how they work. So without further ado, let's get started. So the Triton are an aquatic lineage. They are essentially these fish people that dwell in the deep and keep essentially the natural order of things. Triton are these fish people that lurk deep in the oceans and keep all sorts of aquatic nightmares from wreaking havoc on the surface, as well as just, live down there as well and are very connected to the ocean and its ways. And when it actually comes to the Triton, they've had a lot of different reprints. The Triton themselves are actually featured in 3 different books. You've got Mythic Oddities of Theros, Folo's Guide to Monsters, and Mordenkainen's Presence Monsters of the Multiverse. And of course, when I go over lineages, I typically go over the most recent source material as the one that's going to be the most referenced when it comes to people actually playing it. So when it comes to the Triton, you have a lot of aquatic themed abilities. For example, you get the feature Amphibious. You can breathe air and water. For speeds, you have a 30-foot walking speed, and you also have a swim speed equal to said walking speed. You have the feature Control Air and Water, which allows you to cast Fog Cloud, and then starting at 3rd level you can cast Gust of Wind, and then starting at 5th level you can cast the spell Water Walk. And then when you cast any of these spells with the trait, you can't cast them again until you finish a long rest, but then you can also cast them using any spell slots that you have at that appropriate level. And then when you pick this lineage, Intelligence, Wisdom, or Charisma is your spellcasting ability for these spells when you cast them. And of course, once again, you have Dark Vision. What does Dark Vision do? It allows you to draw 2 cards from your deck. But what it really allows for you to do is you can see in dim light within 60 feet of you as if it were bright light, and in darkness as if it were dim light. You can discern colors in that darkness only as shades of gray. This is going to be really useful if you're in the deep, dark depths of the ocean, because everything is dark down there, and good lord, I wouldn't want to be down there if I couldn't see. And speaking of sea, you got Emissary of the Sea. This feature says you can communicate simple ideas to any beast, elemental, or monstrosity that has a swimming speed. It can understand your words, though you have no special ability to understand it in return. And then you also have the feature Guardian of the Depths. Due to having lived in the deep and cold ocean for so long, your character has resistance to cold damage. So, and also to note, the mechanics of the Triton are actually pretty self-explanatory. You have a lot of really cool water-themed abilities that also kind of give you some fun Aquaman flavoring, but at the same time, you don't really have anything with the Triton that is inherently broken. And now allow me to explain. With certain lineages in D&D, you have features that you look at them and you're like, wow, I know 1,000 different ways that I can abuse this for my character. And you have a lot of these situations where you can take those mechanics and really get a lot out of them. The Triton, however, it's a certain lineage where it really lends itself well not to a specific playstyle, but to a specific campaign setting. Let's say you're going to be in like a pirate or a seafaring or just an elemental plane of water themed campaign. Triton is probably one of the best options that you can pick for the sole reason that you can talk to sea creatures, you have a swim speed, and you also have resistance to cold damage. Using Triton, that is genuinely one of the best options that you can have for that sort of style campaign. However, due to the Triton's spellcasting and just other features, they don't really do poorly in a lot of different classes. And I'm saying it like that for a specific reason. Give me a second. But when you take a lot of the different features of the Triton, a lot of it's these flavorful mechanics that help you do well and help you, have some interesting aspects to your character, but also don't really add a whole lot of crazy power to your character. Fog Cloud is a really good spell for shutting down certain attacks and even just making it harder for people to see you and in return hit you. Gust of Wind is a really good crowd control spell. In Water Walk, it's honestly a little more flavorful than anything. But the really fun part about the Triton spellcasting is that you can cast these spells with whatever stat you want. You can use Intelligence, Wisdom, or Charisma, as I mentioned. Not every lineage has the ability to be that flexible. You have certain races where even as you move forward with continually printing out new materials and new lineages, they might have physical attributes that are tied to a specific stat. For example, the Minotaur. I love Minotaurs, I think they're really cool, and I haven't covered one on the channel yet, so maybe actually that'll be the next video, who knows. The Minotaur has a lot of abilities that are geared exclusively towards strength. And the reason for that is they're geared towards using your horns. Using your horns, you can hit people for extra damage, you can shove people, you can knock them prone, and it's this element that's tied so strongly into the Minotaur as they're really made to be a crowd control race. However, with Triton, they're really not made to be anything in particular, which means that you can actually put them to a lot of different classes. The abilities of the Triton aren't particularly strong, but it's the flavoring that comes with the Triton that really makes them pop. However you look at this lineage, you're going to be having some sort of ties to the water. Whether you're from the elemental plane of water, or you're from the ocean, or whatever else have you, you're going to have these very deep ties to this. But not in a way where it actually detracts from any class twist that you make. Playing them as a spellcaster is a really great option. It gives you free spells that you can essentially cast and then have synergize with your regular spellcasting list. And on top of that too, you also get a free resistance. And even too, you're not even really losing anything if you want to play them as a martial focused class either. They're just there as they are. And now, of course, as I have gone over the Triton and I have gone over this analysis of it pretty quickly, the strongest aspects of the Triton themselves are just the ability to communicate with different sorts of sea creatures or sea dwelling creatures and the spells. You can use the spells, you can slap them on just about any class, and it'd still be pretty good. Emissary of the Sea, that can be pretty nice if, let's say, for instance, you make like a really strong persuasion build, or maybe a potentially animal handling build, depending on how your DM rules those checks, and then you can really get a lot of use out of that feature. So when it comes to the Triton, that's really all that you have. And anyways, that is all the time that I have for today for this video. If you enjoyed this, and if you end up playing a Triton in one of your campaigns, then please like the video and subscribe for even more D&D content. And in the meantime, keep smiling, keep scheming, and I'll see all of you next time.